my God, Mike, we're back. We just completed another week of Champions League that I'm getting the sense that neither of us are that jazzed about.
Yeah, I can't find. Even when the draw came out, like Chelsea's in a Europa League group, and I don't know. It's weird. My team's not in it, so I kind of don't give a shit, right? But like,
I see.
But,
Well,
yeah.
let me do.
And it's too early. It doesn't matter.
It
yet.
is a little bit early. Let me do a little quick rundown just to cover our bases, just so the kids know that we're watching. But there's really only one story, and it's United.
Well, two.
United,
Leipzig beat PSG.
Those teams. So it's actually two teams that are in the same space, right? PSG, United. PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, owned by a small country. Essentially, the lunatics run the asylum. Neymar and Mbappe basically do what they want, and the team runs off their energy. Even though they're not playing, you can't coach. It's not a coachable team.
Right.
So they don't work. So other players don't work, and things break down. And they really don't have that many great players outside of those two because they spent all their money on them. And they lost to Leipzig. And Leipzig, listen, I don't care what the result was against United. That's a good team with a great coach. And I watched the highlights. This kid, the Forsberg, who's been there for a while, was all over it. Like anything that good that happened, it was Forsberg. Coming out of the midfield, going into the wing, grabbing the ball, making shots. They were just better. I really like Leipzig. It's so one of the things, and then I'll go into United. It's so frustrating to really admire all the German teams because you're like, fuck, they get it. Damn it, Germans. They just completely understand, oh, these other leagues are spending money on X. We're going to provide them the assets, young players, and we're just going to live off their money and play young players. Like Dortmund literally has like 7 guys under 20 playing at once, and they're going to sell all those guys and make money. Leipzig, same thing. It's like the Germans sort of see the inefficiency of like young players can play and we can sell them to English teams because our levels are so high. None of us are going to beat Borussia Dortmund. So let's just crank out players because Leipzig's going to finish second, sell Mbakamo for fucking $70 million. No problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, I mean, Dortmund is by far the gold standard in Europe, right? As far as how to run a club, because you've got the, like you said, the PSGs, the Cities, the Real Madrids who just shit money. And, that's great. If you can do that, then fine. But if you're looking at it, we've talked a lot about like running a club in Europe is like a business. Dortmund is Fortune 500. They are unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
PSG's Enron sometimes.
By the way, Leicester is the same way. Leicester does the German way, right?
Yes.
Between Mahrez, Conte, Drinkwater,
Chilwell.
They saw still all those guys. They bought them for a total of £40 million, and have made $250 million.
Yep.
That's good, right? Now, most of that is Mahrez, right? Because they bought him for
Chilwell went for 50 plus, so.
Right, but what did they get him for is the question. Anyway, it's a model. So really, big game. Real Madrid beat Inter. I don't think Inter in that class yet. Real Madrid find a way. Bayern blow.
Well, wait. Let's stop and talk about Group B for a second because it is a complete fucking disaster. I'm looking at it. You've got, speaking of the German teams, Borussia Mönchengladbach with 5 points after 3 games is leading the fucking group. Second place with 4 points.
Right, with Shakhtar.
It's Shakhtar Donetsk. Third place, which means now again,
Europa
we're
League.
Halfway through the group. There's a long way to go. If Real Madrid finishes third place in Group B, they drop down to Europa League.
That would be amazing.
Could you fucking imagine for a second Real Madrid going to the Land of Fire or wherever the fuck else to play a knockout game in the Europa League? I think Zinedine Zidane would hijack the plane and drive it into a mountain. I think he would literally just kill the whole team.
Yeah, the thing is, Gladbach are pretty good. They got, again, German young players. They have Thuram running. They just have, they have old heads that know what they're doing. Liverpool have no problem. This is Jota. There's a small little bump narrative of like, oh, Jota should play. I'm like, okay. They still have Firmino.
That's at the risk of Firmino or potentially in a 4-2-3-1, right? I think we touched on that last week. So, I think that they're going to be fine. We got excited on the preview. We were like, ooh, Atalanta, that's going to be a good one. And they just
blew the doors off them.
Yeah. And, good for them.
Yeah, that's what you do. You fucking
that is
annihilate
what
people.
that is what good teams do. So
So they're good.
Gonna run away with that group.
City had a pretty good performance against Olympiacos. Another good, got to rest their defenders. I like to give my City deep takes. Torres scored another goal. Pretty easy, not a problem. Got to play young guys. No Laporte. John Stones had a good game. First half for City was the best they played all year, honestly. Mm-hmm. They were sharp. Foden, the regular guys, they got to rest guys. So we'll probably see the same group with a different pairing in midfield against Liverpool. So we'll see how that goes. I really love when City plays Zinchenko because they're basically just saying, we don't need that other back. We're just going to put a midfielder on. So, and I hate Gundogan is good. This is a weird team where there's no heroes. You know what I mean? Right. There's no God, I love him. I don't care. Right. De Bruyne is that and Foden is that, but nobody loves Sterling. Well, you don't feel attached to them. It's weird.
Well, you're missing the big one because he's been hurt, right? Like Sergio Aguero is the hero. He is but he's
not even he's unattainable. He's distant. He's some guy on a mountain that you never see, right? He's our hero. Same the way David Silva is, but there's no personality. That Englishness, the whole team's missing it. It's really annoying because nobody talks. Like there's no guy that they go to.
Yeah, it's all robotic, right?
Right. Kyle Walker's kind of a spaz. John Stones doesn't play. Phil Foden they try and bring up, but he's got a pea head, which makes him look weird.
And he's what? He's like 14 years
20,
old. Still,
yeah, he's 14 years old. But let's get to the United. So United lose 2-1 to, let me see, Istanbul Başakşehir, who
3 times fast.
Yeah.
God.
Who are first-time Champions League players, have never scored a goal. This is their first goal, and are playing a lineup of former United guys and former Premier League guys who are getting their last checks. Demba Ba, he of the slip, Rafael, former back for United, and Martin Skrtel, former murderer for Liverpool.
Wait a minute. Martin Skrtel was on that pitch?
Yeah.
I missed that. Ooh,
yeah.
Wow, that's a big oversight on my part.
So the first goal was laughable. United essentially, so I didn't play soccer as a kid, but the first goal was laughable in that Demba Ba was behind the defense before the halfway line on a corner kick. They miss it, they kick it to him, and he takes off like 12-year-olds.
Yeah. That
should never happen. So everything I've listened to is you don't understand. This is literally the worst defending that you can do. It's pathetic. The second goal also involves Demba Ba, but on a dummy. He's coming down the middle on a break. Maguire comes to him. The dummy goes by, and it's this completely lopsided thing where the other guy just hammers it home. They just beat them. United didn't create any chances. Fernandes was terrible. It was just bad again and again. Ole is not a good coach. It's how many – at this point, it's just what are United? I think if I were a United fan, I would feel petrified, right? They're in an existential state where they have an American owner who's basically treating the team like an American franchise, where you just go, well, I'm making money, so the winning doesn't matter. As long as everything's fine, I don't feel like paying an 8th coach. I don't feel like whatever. So United get in this sort of, they get in a every other year thing.
Cruise control, essentially.
But it's worse than that, because it's they get a manager, they pay him, he makes the top 4, they make money, then they sit on the money. The guy gets pissed off and complains that he doesn't have money because they don't kick on. They're never kicking on. They get into the top 4 and then they don't spend the money to kick on. Now, they are spending money, right? They're spent tons and tons and tons and tons of money.
Yeah.
But it's bad money. It's why did you pay $80 million for Harry Maguire? Where's the scouting? Where are the young players? I don't know. It's just weird. And Gunnar Solskjaer is not the manager for Manchester United. That goal is an indictment on him, right? They've lost 5 of 8 to start the season. They have those 2 wins. He can bank those, but 5 of 8. And those are the only 2 good performances, PSG and Leipzig. Everything else has been pretty catastrophic. Yeah. And essentially, if you sit deep and defend against United, They have no way to pick the lock. Zero. None. The magic of Fernandez, again, players come to United, they get worse. Happens again. Fernandez has fallen off. Either they're playing him too much, or teams have figured it out. They're just like, oh, you're a number 10. We figured this out. Nobody plays number 10s. You just sit on them, and the team sputters because Paul Pogba can't do anything. They don't really have a way to find answers. They have no answers for problems. So that Fernandez was new. He opened things up in the restart. You were like, oh my God, Man United, cool. People started sitting on him. Now they have no way to unlock things. And so I'm not afraid of them. If the big teams, and you've noticed teams are getting more defensive. City is a bit more defensive. They have offensive problems. You can tell that Liverpool are a bit more focused on defense without Van Dijk. There's a little bit of a collective coming in.
Exactly. And you see it in a lot of different sports, right? Like,
but the cavalier play of like, oh, we're badass. That shit's gone because you're like, yo, we gave up 5 in City's place. In Liverpool's place, like, yo, we fucked around and gave up 7. Yeah. We gotta sit in. We gotta be. Let's not fuck around. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, and in the absence of Liverpool, in Van Dijk's absence in Liverpool, the heroic mighty Reds.
Poor Liverpool. How are they gonna make it?
But you're right? And you see that in a lot of different sports where your talisman, your main man goes down, and everybody goes, all right. I mean, next man up is kind of the mantra.
Good teams do that. It's the good teams. It's the Bill Simmons thing. I'm sure you hate him, but the Ewing theory, right? Can you your best guy goes down, and your team just steps up to another level, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what should happen. Liverpool, that should happen to Liverpool.
And let's be clear. It's not like they're a bunch of schmoes, right? Like they are still one of the most potent attacks in the world.
Yeah, so, they're so good. Winners. Real, like, it's 3 seasons of like, we fucking win
dominance. Absolutely. Yeah.
They've had
so you look at Group H, and United is still top of the group.
They're fine.
Comfortable goal
difference. They'll get through. But
they'll get through. But like you said, there's a lot of cracks that are showing. Man, it would be something if Real Madrid and PSG dropped to fucking Europa League.
Awesome. But here's the other piece.
It would not be awesome for people in Europa League.
Yeah. So Ian Wright, who now is sort of a Arsenal legend, London legend, really good pundit. Lots of
I like him. Yeah, I think he's great.
Yeah. He's fucking just said this. He was like, yo, if Mikel Arteta was the manager of United, they would fucking win the league. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, with all the talent that they've got there that's totally untapped and, just –
Yep.
Yeah.
He would find a way to either he would give Pogba the Ozil treatment and be like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm done with you. This is my team. I control it. Or he would play Pogba and make him the centerpiece and find a way to use them, right? Mm-hmm. They have good finishers, right? They have good players.
None of them. Yeah.
Yeah. He would get rid of those fullbacks immediately and be like, you guys, in modern football, you can't be defensive fullbacks because then what's happened really, like, I'm going to get deep. You ready? Here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah. So the role that Maradona used to play was the number 10. That was a creative role. It was a hub just behind strikers, and everything would pour to him. You sort of see it with Messi, but on the side. What has changed is that has become not the focal point because you can easily mark the guy out of the game. The offensive width and spaces that are created are no longer reliant on a single magician. It's now spread out across the whole thing. And the fullbacks are who the good teams use fullbacks to do that creative crossing and unlocking teams, right? Trent Alexander-Arnold, Mendy when he was good. City don't have good fullbacks, but Dani Alves, like great teams have good fullbacks who do the creative work. They spread out the responsibility to break things down, right? How many times did you see Marcelo ping something into Ronaldo, make a run, get it back, hit it back to him? That triangle on the wing is what makes modern football, right? Mm-hmm. And what you give up is the idea of getting hit on the break with 4 guys in the back. You instead use that holding midfielder as almost that number 10 becomes someone who'll drop back when your fullbacks go forward.
Right. He becomes a safety valve. Right. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's my nerd take. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We're just waiting for Ole to get fired. I mean, it's just like, when is Pochettino going to take the team? The thing is like, does Woodward want to do it, right? It's in his interest to just sit on it. There's no fans there. No one's coming after him. If he puts in Pochettino and they're still bad, then it's on him. So
right. It's almost like, he's got that die to cast whenever he wants. he doesn't feel, that it's the time yet. And to
he's
be clear,
fucking Glenn Sather, man. He's just sitting on the team for years, right?
And to be clear, though, right? Like they do have a game in hand on most teams in the table, so that if they win that, they've got 10 points, which still puts them in the bottom half. But again, as we talked about last week or so, it's just you need to.
Sure, they can go on a run
to understand.
Sure.
But to your larger point, it's not the results; it's the way you're playing, and that's going to bear a lot less fruit over 38 games.
He's not good enough. It's like
no, he's not.
You
I
can
agree.
tell. Like there's things that you can tell, right? Like Arsenal and Manchester United are in similar historical places, right? Great all-time manager, 25 years. They're in transition, right? United are now almost going to go on 10 years in transition, almost.
But is this real quick though? Are they just total anomalies? Are they looking for something that doesn't exist anymore?
I don't think. Well, here's the thing, right? Wenger and Ferguson were the whole thing, right?
Right.
They were the GM, they were the coach, they were the marketing department. They literally ran the whole team. It was a throwback way, and they just did it as modern people. They were special people, right? Sure. They literally created the organization. Wenger fucking designed the stadium. Like he was that involved. Like he was really like more like a VP. He was both the GM and the coach. He did everything, right?
Yeah.
And so when he left, there's like, we need 5 people.
We need, right. Yeah.
Right. So there's that transition piece, right? And they've had guys churning it out. Same with Ferguson. Ferguson had a business partner that he worked with. David Dean. No, David Dean's in Arsenal. Whatever. They both left together. So they had a double vacuum. And Woodward, who's the accountant for the Glazers, took over the team and has essentially been running it without this extra layer. There's no one who's a visible person who is a director of football, the equivalent of a general manager. And so these coaches come in as temporary GMs, right? You had these big personalities. Van Gaal was a big personality. Moyes was doing that job at Everton where he controlled the whole thing. Van Gaal, Mourinho has that. But then Woodward is this sort of go-between the board, which is just board is this amorphous. I don't know what that means. People who have shares in a club, I have no idea. But they essentially have no structure, right? And they're just going from thing to thing. And Woodward just has a relationship with the biggest agents, and they just go to him and they get paid.
So Sir Alex leaves, and you have one giant hole, phrasing, that you can't really fill with one person. You need 5, maybe even 10 people to do that.
He thought that Moyes could be that person because Moyes was doing it at Everton.
Yes. And that's fine. And nobody, as it turns out, nobody is that person. That's okay. The question for Woodward and the Glazers is, are you capable of diagnosing the size of the problem and not throwing
or do they care?
Do they even give a shit?
That's the bigger problem.
Right. So that's kind of where you go, okay, you have to get 5 guys to have 1 ounce of the success that Sir Alex did. Where are those holes? Like, what are those titles? What are those responsibilities?
I don't understand football structure. It's strange.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is I'm not asking you to do it. I'm asking Ed Woodward to do it, right?
Yeah, like what club do we copy? Like what's the blueprint? What's the Billy Bean team? Where do we steal from? Like who is the team?
Well, and I think you're looking internally. I think it is you, because what you're effectively trying to do and what you're going to be graded on is relative to the 90s and early 2000s. So with that in mind, you go, okay, what did Sir Alex do? And by the way, it's not like he's dead. He's at the fucking game all the time, even though nobody's allowed in. He's still there. Fucking ask him.
I don't know what they're doing, right? This is where our kind of like American naivety is. I was like, what the fuck? I don't get this. This is fucking weird. What's happening? Yeah. What are they doing? Who's in charge? How does this thing even work? Is this thing on? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Like, it's going to really bother me when Pochettino takes the job and he's given money and he does well. But again, he looks around and he's like, oh, this is Tottenham all over again. It's Tottenham in disguise, right? Like, I don't have the support I need in critical positions, whether it be monetarily or personnel or both or whatever.
It could be anything. It could be sports science. It could be analytics. I don't know how these teams run. Like, for all I know, it's 3 guys. I have no fucking idea.
And I think that's one of the things that makes Pochettino attractive, or had made Pochettino attractive to a number of clubs around the world, but specifically United, because he's got his own staff, right? He's got Jesus Perez. He's got like not just
he's got his dudes. Yeah,
he's got his dudes. They go everywhere with them, but it's so much more than X's and O's, right? Like
right. But what I was trying to jump in on, sorry, is just like it's so funny thinking about our American sports lens, how we literally know everything. Like we know how teams work. It's literally all sports conversation is. They barely talk about games anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's all GM shit. It's all analytics. It's all who's in charge. It's all palace intrigue. We get nothing from these teams. We get nothing. You only get the games. You're like, what the fuck is going on?
Which is interesting because you think about it in just a juxtaposition the landscapes, right? Like we've got 5 sports over here, and all we do is talk about the ins and outs, the finances, and all that stuff. During the transfer window, that's all there is because there's a lack of games for the large part. But once opening day hits, you don't talk about the hierarchy in the club. You don't talk, what Mark Goldbridge is going to talk about, how Woodward and the Glazers suck, but he's not going to say this is what they should be doing. He just says they suck.
Nothing. You get nothing, like zero, like no locker room, like those all or nothings are huge. Or like the Sunderland thing, that is like, what is that team doing? They're fucking retards doing the marketing. These chicks fucking calling people on the phone like, all right, love, you want a cup of tea? I'm like, what? Your team's going to go down. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. We went nuts. I don't even know what we're talking about. Let's go into the previews.
We have a big one this week. Right? We've got a few games. We've got Everton United. That's going to be a big one. We can talk more about United, but I don't.
Oh, you're not talking about Crystal Palace Leeds?
I'm not talking about Crystal Palace Leeds. We have
or the
Leicester
Battle
City
of the Bees, not Brighton versus Burnley. That's not.
No, we have Leicester City and Wolves, which is going to be a good one Sunday at 9 a.m. We have one game on.
What about the London Derby? What about West Ham versus Fulham?
No. We have the big one. The 2 best teams in England in the last 5 years, showing down against each other at Anfield on Sunday.
No, it's at the Etihad.
Okay, so it's in Manchester City, Laurent's beloved.
Oh God. So here are the last 5 results. I almost don't remember this one. I don't know why I don't remember it. But there was a July 2nd game. City won 4-0 at home. I don't know why. I have no memory of this game.
Okay, that was the day that they took the trophy at the Etihad from City, and City went, fuck you, and they laid one on them. It was awesome.
And then away, we basically haven't won at Liverpool. No one's won at Liverpool since the War of 1812. We got beat on the Fabinho wonder goal, Mo Salah, then Sadio Mane got a consolation goal from Bernardo Silva. Then at home is the 1-1 draw. Matip and Raheem Sterling. I don't remember that one. Then the world famous, the most important game of my life from 2019, January 3rd. I cried at my desk. I looked for people to hug. I was in my office. I didn't know what was happening. Leroy Sané down the wing. John Stones off the line. 2-1. Man, the greatest game of all time.
We need to just dive into that a little bit more, though, right? So
the greatest game ever.
They're 1-2 in the table. Liverpool is
gone. They're gone. They're like 7 points clear.
Okay.
And not losing anything.
Right. And so Liverpool, really, I thought they gave it to you guys pretty well, right? If you go through the expected goals for that game, I would say Liverpool probably were the better team that day. And
no, it was frenetic. Like, it was a nuts game.
It was a crazy back and forth game. And why don't you go ahead and tell us what happened with John Stones?
John Stones, a little bit of a mishap in the back. Shocking. John Stones was a part of it. And he cleared a ball off the line that was, according to the Hawkeye, 3 millimeters off the line, like a cunt's hair, basically.
Yeah,
from being a goal.
The ball is about 97% in.
Now, to be fair, back in the day, that wouldn't have even been close. It would have just not been called a goal. Like, right. It's only because we have Hawkeye that we know that. That would have just been cleared off the line, no problem.
It was a jumping from behind, and to be clear, the angle he had to get on the ball to not hit the post and go in.
Yeah, it's a lot of luck. But the Sané goal was the real goal, just down the break, down the wing. You know, Aguero scored a goal early before the half. We were up 1-0. He did the patented Aguero goal, which is near corner, top shelf. Nobody does it better. Nobody even does it. He's the only one. Although Gabriel did it yesterday, which was amazing. I was like, oh, the Aguero. Near corner, top shelf, tight angle. He's nobody does it.
Sonny has done it before a few times, but yeah, largely, yeah.
It's an Aguero patented move. And then I cried. It was just pure joy. And because 4 days before, it was like when games were flying. It's like that Christmas period, like there's 7 games going on in 4 days. We had lost to Newcastle, and there's one of me, the despondent video of me just almost in tears going, the league's over. And I get my friend Brian just makes fun of me for being the hedge person. I always think City are losing. I have the most doom and gloom. I have no faith in this team to win this game. It's not in the face for me. Like, I'm happy to see Gabriel Jesus. The front three of Liverpool, now they have a fucking fourth musketeer. He's like the D'Artagnan to the other fucking guys, to Aramis, whoever the fuck the 4 musketeers are. Making Dumas jokes. I'm literary. And, they just have too much. And I don't care that they don't have Van Dijk at the back. Unless City are going to play to exploit that, it won't make a difference. City have to play different to beat Liverpool. And I don't think they're ready to do that. Like, they're not going to sit deep and try and hit on the break. They're not going to concede the way they play to let Liverpool come onto them, because that's how you beat Liverpool, right? The way that Aston Villa scored goals was Liverpool plays this really high line and they just kick the ball behind them.
And that's not like you don't have the horses to do that, because if you had Sterling and even Foden down the right, right? I
don't fucking trust Sterling to score a goal one-on-one.
But you don't need him to score a goal. What you need him to do is get into open space behind Trent Alexander-Arnold, and then just have a way with it.
Spot for sure.
Right. So, I think that's where I see a critical matchup in this game. But you're right. Then I don't know that it's going to become that hit them on the break style, because that's just not what Pep and City do.
But they may be. Remember, I talked about we've talked about this, and I was really glad. I was listening to the Total Football Show with James Richardson, very famous, really good soccer podcast. No better than ours. They just happen to be English, so fuck them. But they did say what I said, which is, I think City are in a trend. It seems that City kind of recognized they've got to be more defensive. Like, their assets and the best part of their team now is actually those 2 central defenders. Laporte and Diaz are really good, especially with Walker playing out of his mind. Maybe City show steel. Maybe City play Rodri and Fernandinho. Oh, Fernandinho's out. But maybe they play the 2 holders again.
What, Gundogan?
Gundogan and Rodri, try and sit deep with Diaz and try and play that way with a little less creativity, and just kind of hold tight and see if De Bruyne and Gabriel can make some magic together. Of course, and I noticed this in the Champions League game when I made my Pep racial statement, Walker and Sterling played, because they're, he just plays them till they can't play, because well, I don't know, some reason.
That's a good segue. Talk to me about your team's health and wellness right now. You've obviously got Aguero out, and that's going to hurt, but how did Jesus look? How did De Bruyne look? De
Bruyne is not hurt. De Bruyne has just been playing too much. He plays for Belgium. He plays every minute. It's not that he's playing too much. It's the team functions through him. So it's the mental part, right? Like it's those hard innings. It's pitches 92, 93, right? Like it's runner on second and third, 2 outs. Can I get the guy out? Right. He's got to play those minutes, right?
Yeah.
Then when he plays in the Premier League, he gets the shit kicked out of him. Like, there's 3 or 4 times a game where someone just, because they know, but he's tough. He gets up, but I think, that's where the issue is. It's mental fatigue, physical fatigue. He wants to play. He's a tough motherfucker. He's
of course.
The only guy in the team who just yells at his teammates, which is great.
But it's wear and tear, and it's starting.
Yeah, it's mental wear and tear, and he could just go down. It's possible.
Yeah.
So I would, on the other side, I would expect Firmino to play, because we don't know if Jota can do the defensive work that Firmino can do, right? And that's
I don't think they're playing the same position, though.
But you're not going to take out Mane, and you're not going to take out Salah,
right?
So it's Firmino. If they play all 3 of if they play the 4 of them, then they're going to be too open. So they're going to play they're going to play Wijnaldum, they're going to play Henderson, and then it's a question of like who the third midfielder is, or if it's Jota. They're going to play a third midfielder. There's no way. They can't.
Okay.
They have to. Otherwise, they'll get torn up. And I think it'll be Firmino. If you watch Liverpool City, it's Firmino who always disrupts City and causes turnovers and is why they score goals, right? It's Firmino from the front, sitting on top of the sixes and being like, okay, pass the ball and getting them. He does it all the time. He finds the energy. His fucking electric teeth light up and he looks like a fucking Christmas tree and he does his fucking thing that he does.
And one note there, I don't know how much it's going to matter, but Jota had a hat trick during the week and then he was subbed off around the 60th minute. He looked like he had a bit of an injury. So is he ready to go? We honestly, we were not going to know before Sunday, but that's an interesting thing to keep an eye on.
He's not listed. So I have the list here. So Mendy, Fernandinho, and Aguero are out. We know that. For Van Dijk, it's Chamberlain, Fabinho, and Van Dijk. Matip is doubtful, and Thiago's doubtful. So that's good. So they do. Yeah. So Liverpool will probably play someone young. But what's nice but happened at Liverpool is they're not changing how they play. They're just like, you're part of the group. This young guy, Nathaniel, whatever the fuck his name was, you're playing. Just be the role. You can do this, right? They have confidence. And that's what's fucking awesome about Klopp. Like, Klopp could call me on the phone and tell me to run through a glass door. I would do it. I mean, the guy's just he uses his teeth. He uses his charisma. He doesn't make you feel nervous, right? Like,
he's got a calming presence.
Pep makes you feel nervous. Like, don't fuck up. Right? In that
way. That makes you feel nervous because there's so much competition for those jobs where he goes, if you fuck up, I just have somebody else waiting. Yeah. Right? Like, go ahead, take a seat, bud. So that's where Klopp will go. Klopp's like, he's more of like a big brother and Pep is like an angry dad.
Yeah. That's perfect. Captain of the football team versus, versus hard driving manager of the company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I do think that Rodri and Gundogan will play. And I think Torres will play because he's been so good. And they'll go out in the wing. They'll do the Sterling, Torres. City can't play Mahrez. It's just he's so frustrating to watch. Like, when he's not scoring goals and he's doing 7 touches in the box to try and get to his left foot. And you're like, will you pass the fucking ball, you cunt?
So he's a phenomenal bench option, though, too, right? So
he is, but he's just annoying. He drives me.
No, I know, but that's another reason. Not that you want to prioritize 30 minutes over 60 or 90, but if you've got too many Chiefs and not enough Indians, so to speak, you can use him as a bench role for a Foden, for a Torres, to give them a different look on 60 minutes. So
I think
that's what I think.
If Pep is smart, he'll play Foden because Foden is the one guy who plays for the shirt and kind of gets the Liverpool thing. At this point, they should all get it, but because they played so many times, but that's the big one. I don't feel good. I just don't. It's just that Liverpool just kicked the shit out of City. They always do. We just
it's hard to feel good about a game going into a Liverpool weekend, right? It's excitable. It's fun, but like probably the only team in the world right now that could have supreme confidence against Liverpool and anybody is Bayern Munich, right? So
but City don't score goals. We haven't been scoring goals. There's no finishing. It's fucking brutal.
Right. I think Torres has been good, but he's been missing that finishing touch too, right?
Yeah, so, but he's making he's not going to play center forward. He'll play in the wing.
Right? So those balls will go in at some point. So yeah, anyway. I'm looking forward to it as a neutral. I don't know. I give me a score prediction and I'll think about mine.
2-1 City.
You just said you don't feel good, and now you're like 2-1 City. I love that.
Well, I'm not going to say they're going to lose.
No, your entire brand is I'm going to watch my team lose.
I know, but I don't want to say they're going to lose.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
History says it'll be like a draw 1-1 or something like that.
Yeah, these games, it's not that they're not good, but you look at the teams on paper and you go, "Oh my God, this is like going to be an absolute shootout."
They're never shootouts.
No,
never. Especially, I just don't think City can play that way anymore because they used to be able to share creative duties between Silva and De Bruyne, and now they only have one outlet.
They're a bit.
Everything has to go to De Bruyne.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like the thing. I know I don't think only City fans know this, but there are places on the pitch that David Silva occupied that are empty now. They're just nobody goes there.
So do you think that City is in danger of sort of mimicking their crosstown rivals?
No.
I'm not saying that Pep is Ole, right? But what I'm saying very simply is we were talking about how Fernandes was fantastic, and now basically you just have somebody sitting on him.
No.
Is it possible that you can
that sort of problem?
beat up De Bruyne
No,
enough?
I think there's still enough creativity. Like you like Cancelo. Cancelo can become creative, right?
Mm-hmm.
He'll drop in and do things like that. I still think Gundogan can put a pass around a corner now and again. Sterling has creative moments. Like they still have more options than United do. But Pep, the difference between Pep and that is like Pep will recognize it and try and do something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
He'll go, okay, we'll move Kevin around. Like you can't he's not just going to be in the middle all the time.
Sure.
He'll come to the left. He'll go to the right. He'll drop in.
And
He'll just move around,
somebody,
right?
If somebody truly is marking him that aggressively, you're moving him around on purpose as effectively
You create
a decoy
spaces,
at that point.
right? And then you can find out what Torres is. With Torres, is that his fucking name? I can't even remember.
Yeah, Fernando.
Yeah, what Torres is.
It's Fernando Torres, right? Not Fernando, but like
not Fernando
Torres.
Yeah, what Torres is, because I think Torres is a creative player, right? He'll get out on a wing. He's a tricky player. He's a more winger, but similar to Mahrez, if that makes sense. Like Mahrez wants to come inside, period.
Yes.
Whereas Torres will kind of stay outside. And
so that's the important delineation there is that Mahrez is the off-wing winger, right? He's a lefty playing on the right, like Bale would, like a number of other players would, right? But and he's the guy who just wants to get as much of a sight of goal to be able to take it on his left foot and bend it around the goaltender.
And he's got the magic. It's there.
Yeah.
The problem
is what I'm saying
is the physicality. It's the defensive-ness. Like he just Mane will eat him alive.
I'm going to sit on the fence and I'm going to say it's a 1-1 draw, but I have Mahrez getting a late equalizer.
Okay.
I have a 1-1 draw. And
I want to die. It makes me angry.
It's gonna be fun, not for you, but I'm going to enjoy a heck of a lot of it.
That's the most important game. Tell me, what do you got for me on? I think let's sort of do Manchester United. Everything we kind of did the problems of Manchester United. If James plays and his ball is properly iced and slung, he has a sore ball. By the way, he got it in the
Just
nuts.
one.
Yeah, he has a really damaged nutsack. Then Digne is back. Then you're starting to see the Everton that we got excited about that can pop the ball around. Now,
and Richarlison's back. Isn't he?
No.
One more?
Yeah, he got a straight red.
No, I know. I thought that he had done 3 games.
No.
Okay, well then it's fine.
Richarlison out, red card. I'm looking at it.
Okay, got it.
And Gomez is still out, so they're still missing a lot of their guys, right? And so they don't have the depth to hang, but it's at Goodison. It depends. Like if Everton try and play and let United hit them on the break, then United will be fine because that's how they want to play, and that's the only way they can win.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you try and sit deep and let them come onto you, then they don't really do that well. And Everton could play that way because they do still have Calvert-Lewin who can cause problems, but he's not a killer.
He's had a phenomenal start to the season, but he's the guy in putting in baseball terms. He's the guy who has 7 home runs in the first 20 days of April, and you're like, all right,
fucking Tuffy Rhodes,
calm it down. Yeah, like just the guy who everybody races to pick up on the waiver wire. And stop it. He's better than that, but he's certainly not.
He's the low walk, high power guy who gets 150 RBIs, but actually sucks.
Yeah,
because he's in the 4th spot, and they're like, just leave him there. It's fine.
Yeah. He's batting 100, like a 196, and it's just like, okay, that's fine.
It's Chris Davis,
400 times a year. Chris
Davis won me some leagues, baby. Before he decided.
I like Everton in this game, and I think that it's a function of they were really, really hurting, like you said. They didn't have the depth. They're back. I think that's their 2 most important players.
But they may have to play Fabian Delph. It's like that kind of thing. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, putting my name on this one.
And then Pickford.
Yeah, so that's another really interesting storyline, right? So before the last game, I forget who they played, Carlo Ancelotti said he would not be playing. He would
Rest
reinstall
him.
Pickford.
Yeah.
For the United game.
Yeah.
We'll see if he's living up to his word Saturday morning because I'm not so sure. I forget the guy's name who came in. I thought he did a fine job.
Much
though.
better, yeah.
And it's not so much that he's better or worse than Pickford.
Newcastle, he was benched for.
Yes. I still believe in Jordan Pickford, especially as England's keeper. But the thing that you got to remember is
he sucks.
He's fucking crazy. I don't think he's that bad. He's just crazy.
Well, that's why he didn't play in Newcastle, right? Because he's
I know, but that's the point.
It was a local boy thing. Like, he probably got wasted because he was with his hometown team, and they were like, you know what? You fucked up. You're in Sunderland fucking coveting yourself up with hookers. You're out, dude.
That's the thing. He's a wild card. And
he should be a defensive midfielder, not a goalkeeper.
Right. So I worry about that dynamic as it continues. Because listen, before last week, they were top of the table. So, and not that that's going to last significantly throughout the year, but if they have ambitions of the top 4 of challenging for the title, they need a fucking goalkeeper, right? Like,
it can't be that guy. No,
it can't be. That guy.
What else do you want to talk about? You want to talk about your team?
Speaking of goalkeepers, segue of the week. Edouard Mendy is really righted the ship for Chelsea. I don't think
that dude is good.
He's so good. He's like Stretch Armstrong. He's fucking 7 feet tall.
He's awesome.
He's actually 6'6". He's enormous. I don't see them having a problem with Sheffield United.
It's so funny. It's just like, gaffing a giant goalkeeper. That helps.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Completely, like, legitimately the simplest thing. Like, hey,
no, but how many are athletic is the question, right?
Right. Well, are you good at this? Not really. Are you fucking enormous? Yeah. You know what? Throw the gloves on. Let's see what you got.
And I think Silva makes a difference too, right? Just having that old head to organize a bunch of young guys and put them where they're supposed to be, pointing. Like, you can see Thiago Silva's just like, you go here, you go there.
Yeah.
You go there. You know, he's just got that. There's a guy, right? A leader.
So there's
a defensive quarterback, right?
The clouds are starting to part a bit for Chelsea at the back.
They're scoring goals.
Which is great news
now.
because they're always going to have the goals. The question coming into the year was, how do you make your defense not fucking terrible? Which is really all they're trying to do. They're not trying to be.
Hey, playing Conte in the middle as the shield is shocking. That works. I can't believe it. It's insane.
It's almost like he's one of the best players in Europe again. So I think that they'll handle.
To be fair, he was hurt for a long time.
No, he was. I don't even care West Brom Tottenham. In fact, I'm annoyed that it's the early game. It's one of those where I might not even watch.
Don't fuck it up. Get it done. Just go wipe the floor with them.
Professional 3 points. Just get it done. I don't care. Leicester Wolves is going to be another fun one.
Yeah. I think Leicester lose this game because Leicester has been winning lately because they hit teams on the break. They don't want to admit that that's how they play, but that's how they play.
Sure.
And so Wolves are not going to let them do that.
Wolves will just frustrate the shit out of you, right? And I think one player who hasn't gotten enough press so far this year is Pedro Neto.
He's good, man.
They sold Jota, and Neto is 19, maybe 20 years old, and he basically walks into that role.
Yeah, they're both
walks into that role, and he's been fantastic. I mean, Raul Jimenez is great, and actually Daniel Podence as well got a lot of the plaudits last weekend. He scored a goal and whatever. I believe he might have had an assist also. Neto set up that goal that he scored.
The thing is, it's like, this is the thing that frustrates me. It's like, we have all this talk, and it's just like, the fucking Connor Cody and Willie Bally just make that team fucking work. They don't have to worry. They just have they have a great goalkeeper. They have those 2 fucking monster defenders. And it's just like, okay, guys, let's go. We got this. Right.
Plug and play the rest.
Right. Yeah, they don't miss games. Connor Cody has not missed a game in 2-3 years.
So, no, I know. The weird thing is, looking at them this year,
but I really don't want to bring it up is because teams are, we don't have defenders. I'm like, they're there. Just go get them.
Yeah. You talk about it all the time, right? Like, James Tarkowski should not be where he is. He should be playing for Chelsea or for United or for Liverpool.
Because everyone wants to have a 2 foot. Like, how about he's the guy who just doesn't have 2 feet? Just play out of the other. Right?
Right. Yeah. They try to check too many boxes, and in doing so, you spread yourself too thin from a skill perspective as a player, and you lose elsewhere.
I might be stupid. I might be naive. I might be a Luddite, a goon, a fucking retard. I would trade John Stones for James Tarkowski today.
I don't think that's that hot of a take. I think everybody would probably, yeah.
No, I don't think people would be like, "Oh, he's a fucking." I'm like, no, dude, that dude is a dude.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
like
I don't know.
he was
I think
the who scored defender of the year.
Tarkovsky was.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Arsenal Villa is an interesting one. That's the late game on Sunday. I
don't want to have mental energy to deal with the game.
No, you won't. I don't know that. I don't know that Villa. I think they're rapidly falling back down to earth, which is fine.
I don't know. I don't know. I thought that loss to Southampton was almost fluky.
Well, because you've got just James Ward-Prowse opened the can of whoop ass on them.
Yeah, he was like fucking came from outer space and just threw lightning bolts at them.
I hope that we see a better performance, individual performance this year out of a player. I'm not so sure we're going to. That was fucking incredible. That was really good. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing with Villa. Like I think Villa can score. I think the defense is good. I don't think Arsenal are gonna have a good time in this Villa game. Like if I'm Arsenal, man for man, they're not better than Villa. Much better.
I don't know. I think
with Aubameyang not scoring goals.
I still like Arsenal here, but I think the one thing that could be a really interesting storyline is the shunned Emi Martinez playing for Villa now.
What if he steals?
What if he steals a game? Right?
Of course he'll steal a game. He's already stolen games.
No. I know, but he goes back into the Emirates. He walks in the doors in different colors, and he makes 7-8 saves, and he steals the game.
And Leno fucks up because they're playing out from the back.
Right. No, I think I could see a 1-0 Villa.
The thing is, it depends. It depends. Like this is a game that Arsenal fans are going to expect Arsenal to take it to Villa, and I think they should play the other way. I think they should play on the break because I don't think they can. I just don't have confidence in Arsenal to break teams down and score goals. Like we fucking weird. They don't really have a creative midfielder. This is not Wenger's Arsenal. There's not a creative player that they want to play.
I think if Arsenal fans look at this game and they go, okay, you're playing newly promoted Aston Villa. I'm sorry, lower level, right? Yeah,
but they're better.
On paper,
this team's better.
Yes. On paper, you go, we're mighty Arsenal. We need to get the 3 points from this. And you're right that the thinking should be take the game to them. They're lowly Villa. That's not true. That's not the case, right? They're high-flying Villa. Are they leading the league in goals for right now? No, they're not, but they're close. They're
close.
3 off the pace. Wow, you know who is? Tottenham's leading the league in goals.
Yeah, Tottenham.
But yeah, so Villa's got 15 in 6 games. So
but you're looking 7 with her in 1 game. So
I understand, but you got 3 last week. You still looking
No. They're definitely scoring goals for sure. So like I wonder if they can do it. But I
think that Arteta will have them well prepared for this.
Yeah, that's what I was about to go to.
And I think that Arsenal do get the win because of that. Not because of superior personnel, not because of any one individual performance, but because Arteta has created a system where they're going to be able to eke out a win. And I actually do think Aubameyang gets back on the score sheet. He had the penalty last week, which fine. If you've got a scoring drought and did he draw the penalty? I can't remember.
No.
Okay. So if you just step up and take somebody else's penalty, that doesn't really count yet, right? But I do think that, he's been looking a little bit more dangerous. I couldn't see him getting off the mark, and I have a 1-0 to the Arsenal as much as that pisses me off.
I mean, look, like Villa lost to Leeds, when Leeds just blew the doors off them. It was incredible. And then they lost to Southampton, like we already talked about, but they fought, right? So they're still scoring. They're still tough. I mean, it feels weird to say, but they're not. They're literally right next to each other in the table and have a game in hand. Like they're right there. The only thing that makes you think that Arsenal can beat Villa is you trust Arteta.
Right.
That's it. For some reason.
I do.
But I trust them to get a draw. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they can beat this. They're not as good. They just basically they're not good. They're just not. They don't have any creative players.
We went right past this, actually. I didn't even notice. 2 games starting tomorrow. So instead of a Monday game, we've got 2 Friday games because you've got the international break coming up. So, which we're going to have to figure out something to talk about.
Oh, my God. We're over an hour. We're going to die.
Brighton and Burnley and Southampton and Newcastle.
Those are shit. Like, could we just have it? Could we just have it be Southampton play Brighton and let the other two guys fucking fuck each other in the ass?
I'm gonna watch Southampton Newcastle. I'm gonna be really excited about that.
Oh gosh, no, I can't watch. I don't want to watch Newcastle again.
No, I love James Ward-Prowse. I want to marry him.
Oh, you've got the Bale glow, the 2012 Bale glow. But he's, you know what's funny?
Goodness.
He's not young anymore. He's getting there.
No, that's fine. When he does what he does,
he's
my
26
a little tingly.
How does he never play for England? Like they're dying for midfielders that could be creative. And we don't need. We're gonna play the same guys over and over again. I don't get it.
Oh, we've got Eric Dyer on free kicks, so no big deal. We don't need him.
Like, why is Eric Dyer anywhere near that team in the midfield? Like,
I don't know. I
don't understand. Anyway.
But that's that. I mean, look, right? Like we broke it down. There's 3 big games this week, and they're spread out relatively well. That you could, the neutral or whoever you root for, you'll be able to enjoy all of them. There's a bunch of decent games, okay games, like we talked about, but at the end of the day, it all comes. The odds. So 11:30 Eastern on Sunday. I'm excited for it. Laurent is not.
I am. I think I'm going to be on the road. I'm driving to Bakersfield.
All right. Okay.
where the clown, what's the clown show with Galifianakis?
Baskets. Baskets.
That's the town I'm going to.
Oh my God, that show is devastatingly sad, but so funny. Big fan of that. I have to catch up on it. Coming into it. Yeah.
Oh, we did an hour on who knows, but it flew. We could have kept going. What the hell?
Yeah,
who cares?
We could have talked about baskets for another 20.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Yeah.
Say goodbye, Mike.
Goodbye, Mike.
All right. That was the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent Cortines. This was a crap football, crap pundit production. We will return on Mondays and Thursdays for the Premier League season. We will talk about soccer and other things that interest us. Mike is crazy. Laurent is insane. That's why it works.